Greetings builders, Daniel here and welcome to another top 3 video, where every week I choose a topic and show you my 3 favorite builds of it. Today's theme is for those who like to be all over the place. I'm talking about the big AoE builds, and if you want to try any of those you can find links for POVs and complete guides in the video description. And if this video helps you, please leave a thumbs up to support the channel. Thank you very much and let's get into it! Let's start with this super fun build, the Demon Form Infernalist with the Witch class. This build relies on life regeneration per second and life regenerated when damage taken to sustain hundreds of stacks of Demon Flame, that not only grants 25% increased cast speed and plus 6 to level of all spell skills, but also over 4000% increased spell damage. To list the pros of this build, I'll start saying that the clear speed is awesome. You're super fast, flying around the map and casting loads of spells. It's really satisfying. Not only that, but as you can imagine, with this much increased spell damage, bosses die just like simple monsters. It's just too much damage. Now to list the cons, I'll start saying that the survivability of this build isn't good. You do damage to yourself in many different ways. And if you're not used to the gameplay, you're going to die to your own damage many times. Another issue is that your damage relies on Demon Flame stacks, and sometimes you just have to wait some seconds for them to accumulate. Another issue is how hard and expensive it is to build. You need to get a lot of life regeneration and maximum fire resistance on your Jewels for you to survive. About the budget, as I just said, this build is expensive. You need at least 10 Divine Orbs to make it work. Don't forget that on PoE2builds.net you can find a list with all the equipment that you need to buy for this build, with direct links for examples being sold by other players. You need 2 mandatory unique items for this build. The first is the Ghost Rife body armor that converts 50% of your life into energy shield. Having a low life is essential for you to be able to sustain as many Demon Flame stacks as possible. Next, and for the same reason, we need to equip 2 Minx Heart that grants up to 24% reduced maximum life each. For clear speed, I'll give this build 10 out of 10. Your Flame Blast almost covers the whole screen and it's followed by a shower of comets while you fly from pack to pack of monsters. It's awesome to play. The single target damage is also amazing and deserves 10 out of 10. You have so much damage that you can deal millions of damage per second while keeping bosses frozen into place. This one is a true destroyer. Now for the survivability, I'll give it 6 out of 10. You can only rely on your energy shield and your life regeneration to keep you alive, and on top of that you constantly deal damage to yourself. I confess that I died a lot until getting the gist of it. If you don't mind your energy shield and keep using your flask from pack to pack, you are going to die. Next, it's time to smite our enemies with the Hammer of the Gods Titan with the Warrior class. I'm gonna be honest with you guys and say that I wasn't really excited to try the Warrior class, but man, how wrong I was. This ended up being one of the most fun and well-rounded builds I've ever played. It's fast, strong, and with an amazing survivability. I can't believe I almost missed all this fun just because of simple peer pressure. To list the pros of this build, I don't even know where to start. With Stampede, you keep charging towards enemies and slamming the ground, exploding the whole screen. It's super satisfying and the perfect build to play when feeling somewhat frustrated with life. The boss damage is out of this world, and the survivability, you see that this build is almost unkillable while clearing high tier maps. Last but not least, I need to say that this build also comes with 20 extra inventory slots, and I love that. Now to list the cons, the main issue of this build is the need of strength. We're picking Giant's Blood on our passive tree to be able to use a 2-handed weapon and a shield at the same time. This grants the incredible damage and survivability of this build, but it doesn't come for free. Now your weapon requires 3 times more strength, and that's why we need to look for a lot of it when gearing up. Talking about the budget, this build is cheap. You can get it destroying low tier maps with only around 60 exalteds. To advance to mid tier maps, I recommend around 100 exalteds, and for the high tier, around 6 divines. This might look expensive, but before advancing to high tier maps, you're going to drop a lot of exalted orbs on low tier ones. For clear speed, I'll give this build 9 out of 10. As mentioned before, Stampede keeps you running and exploding all the enemies on your way, especially because of Herald of Ice. It's powerful, fast, and fun. The single target damage is incredible and deserves 10 out of 10. When combining all buffs on you and debuffs on enemies, you'll be killing tier 15 bosses with only one Hammer of the Gods, and this build can drop 2 at a time. For this survivability, I'll give it 10 out of 10. When you get your Surrender Shield and block chance on your passive tree, most of enemy hits will restore your life instead of dealing damage. It's super safe to clear high tier maps this way. And finally we have the amazing Tempest Flurry Gemling Legionnaire with the Mercenary class. I know that when you guys hear about attribute stacking, you instantly think that it costs hundreds of divine orbs to make. But no, to put your hearts at ease, I'll let you know that the results you're seeing on this gameplay were achieved with these attributes, that is totally doable with something around 10 divine orbs. To list the pros of this build, I don't even know where to start. It has an incredible clear speed, amazing boss damage and high survivability. It's just a build where you can have it all and be happy. I'll let you know that I was kind of sad when I finished recording and I knew that I was going to start another build. If I could, I'll keep playing this one for a while. Now to list the cons, I have to say that even though this build is cheap when compared to other attribute stackers, it still costs around 10 divine orbs to make, and that is not affordable for everyone right away. Another issue is that this build needs 3 mandatory unique items and it might be hard for you to capture elemental resistances. Now talking about the budget, as I just said, this build is not cheap. You need at least 10 divine orbs to make it work. You need 3 mandatory unique items for this build. The first one is the Pillar of the Caged God that grants 2% increased arrow effect per 5 intelligence, 2% increased attack speed per 5 dexterity and 10% increased damage per 5 strength. Next, we need the Hand of Wisdom in action that grants 3% increased attack speed per 25 dexterity and lightning damage per 10 intelligence. Finally, we also need the Murdering Victor's body armor with increased attributes and spirits per socketed runes. This armor can hold up to 4 runes at a time, which means up to 20% increased attributes and plus 40 spirits. On the cons, I said that it was hard to get elemental resistance on this build. To remediate that, you can get plus 20% to all elemental resistance here using soul cores. For clear speed, I'll give this build 10 out of 10, and I'd even like to say 20 out of 10 if I could. You never stop moving and your attack speed is so high that using Tempest Flurry will actually make you faster than just walking. Since Pillar of the Caged God grants this much arrow effect, our Herald of Ice explosions are huge and can kill enemies way beyond their line of sight. You clear so many maps per hour that this build is going to pay itself in no time. The single target damage is also amazing, deserves 10 out of 10. You have so much damage and attack speed that you are going to deal tens of millions of damage in just a few seconds. It's great to kill big bosses with this one. For this survivability, I'll also give it 10 out of 10. You have a big pool of life and energy shield to keep you from taking big hits, and all of that combined with over 70% evasion chance. But the best part about the survivability is that 90% of enemies are going to die way before having the chance to get near you. And that's it for today, guys. What did you think about those AoE builds? Please take a second to tell me in the comments and leave a thumbs up to support the channel. I wish you guys an amazing day, and don't forget to keep building!